I was talking to John, a good friend of mine, about impermanence. And he said, I want to tell you a story about my childhood pet, Alex, who was a golden retriever. He said his first memories of experiencing impermanence were around this amazing dog. And it happened when John was 6 or 7 years old. He said his family had gotten a puppy, this amazing golden retriever. And John said, I was immediately in love with Alex. He was kind, he was smart, he was connected to our family. And he said, next to his mom, Alex was probably the greatest teacher that he ever had. John said that one day, maybe a year after Alex joined the family, that John was sitting in the den hugging Alex and sobbing into her beautiful coat. And he had been told recently that someday Alex is going to die. And he said, so I sat in the den and had my face buried in Alex's beautiful hair, and I was so sad with this realization. He says, I was so upset that she couldn't live as long as we could. I desperately didn't want her to die. The thought of it broke my heart. I sat hugging Alex, sobbing as she sat still and occasionally licked my hand and thumped her tail as if to say, it's all right. John said, sometime after that, he grabbed a small tuft of fur that she shed and he taped it into a scrapbook next to a couple pictures of her. A few days later, while he was alone, he took out the scrapbook and he was looking at Alex's pictures and the fur in his scrapbook. And he said, I started to cry. And I started to think about the day when she'll be gone. And after a while, he heard some noise in the backyard, and he got up and he looked out the window, and he saw his younger brother playing with Alex in the yard. And he thought, he said, that's when it hit me. Why was I crying over a bunch of pictures when I could be out there playing with my dog and my brother right now? So I closed the scrapbook and I went outside to play. My brother and I grew up with Alex and had countless adventures, John said, driving across the country, playing in the snow, jumping in piles of leaves. She had a wonderful life and brought great joy to everyone who encountered her. Fast forward. John said Alex died on her 13th birthday. During my first summer home after freshman year of college. She was living with my mom and had a stroke in the middle of the night. When the vet made it clear that she was hurting and wouldn't get better, we made the decision to put her to sleep. We held her and we told her that we loved her. Alex licked my hand and thumped her tail as if to say everything is okay. And that was the last time. And then she died. You know, we are, as human beings, of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. John said, Alex was one of my greatest teachers. And her impact on my life and every person in the family and every person that she touched was incalculable. This talk is based on a series that Thich Nhat Hanh did on the Five Remembrances. And this little series that we're doing is a tribute to Thich Nhat Hanh, who died in the last year and recently. And I thought it'd be good to really look at him and appreciate some of the teachings that he taught. Of course, he was known as Tay, or teacher in Vietnamese. He was a pioneer of the concept of engaged Buddhism. He combined social action with civil disobedience, with traditional Buddhist meditation practices and spirituality. These 5 remembrances help us to accept some of our deepest fears. The fear of old age, the fear of getting sick, the fear of dying. So that, when we can accept these facts, then when they happen, we're not knocked off course by them. We can be with them even in the difficulty of them. And when others around us suffer and are sick and die and get old, we can be there and be compassionate for them in the same way that we can be compassionate for ourselves. So today we complete our study on this practice. Last week we looked at the first 2 remembrances, which the first one was, I am of the nature to grow old. I cannot escape getting old. And now, you Unity people, hang in there, because I'm going to talk to you about this. And the second one is, I am of the nature to have ill health. I cannot help having ill health. Now, some of you are going, no. But listen, this is a much deeper principle that we need to understand. Wow. Because in our Unity principles, we talk about not admitting that we get old. We talk about not admitting that we're going to die, right? But the truth of it is we are. We can't get away from it. Let me just check my technology here. Oh, it's back. We know that what we pay attention to manifest in our lives. And that we know that we don't want to focus on dying. We know that we don't want to focus on getting sick. That we don't want to focus on that there's change. But the truth of it is, there is. And so these principles they're reminding of us that this is the nature of who we are. It's not the ultimate. It's not what we want to focus our attention on, but we can be aware of it so that we don't get blindsided when these things happen. Unity New Thought has a long time been criticized for being airy-fairy or Pollyanna, right? Because we deny the things that happen. And so if you're being challenged by this, I invite you just to be with it. Right? You don't have to affirm it's happening for you, but I want you just to know that you're going to die. I hate to tell you that. I don't think I've ever told anybody that in church, But you're going to die, And people get sick, and it sucks, and it hurts. And we're not affirming, oh God, make me be sick, right? But we're saying it's a possibility. And then rather than being shocked by it, when it happens, we can learn to do what? Embrace it. Just accept it. We have so much in our... I'm really going off on a tangent here. But we spend so much energy in our society being young. Right? You remember when you were young? Remember many of us are in our 60s and 70s as I look around. And there was a time when we were in our 20s and 30s, right? And we're like, man, I got this, right? God bless those old people that have gray hair and, but I'm not one of them. Well, I hate to tell you, the day is going to come. If you live long enough, you're going to probably have gray hair and maybe thinning hair and wrinkles and spots, for God's sakes. But the whole idea is we want to celebrate what we have. We want to celebrate these aging bodies instead of getting up and looking in the mirror and going, oh, God, where did that spot come from? Where did that wrinkle come from? What if we could just embrace it? and be the powerful beings that we are and accept. This is so much about acceptance and not denial. Amen. The ultimate goal is to help us to release the fear of these things so that we can totally be and embrace the truth of who we are. Imagine having total compassion for ourselves. Wow. Sometimes I look at the spots and I go, oh, I bet I know where I got that. That was being out in the sun when I was 25 years old all day long, right? Or, oh, here's the experience, the time I went boating, right? And here's the time I was swimming. And just celebrate the fact that we're in these bodies at the age that we are. A lot of people didn't get to be this old. My parents both died at 40. When I think now that they died at 40 and I'm 70, I have, if my calculations are correct, 30 years more I've lived than they did. I can be grateful for that. So you ready to move on to the third remembrance? They're a little shocking, right? They're a little shocking, but this is, if you have, maybe you've noticed the spiritual path is about being shocked. It's about embracing. It's about having compassion. It's about letting go of having to be right or thinking we know everything and just relax into life. So the third remembrance says, I am of nature to die. I cannot escape death. Wow, how great it is to have lived and to die. There's a few people have done it before us. Yeah, and there's going to be many more that follow us if we can keep this world together. So Thich Nhat Hanh talked about when we work with the five remembrances, we want to bring them into our consciousness. And he taught focusing on the breath, to have a relaxed state of consciousness, to let these ideas move in and through us and settle into our awareness. So let's do this with the breath. Now, and I invite you to say it. If it feels too much for you to say it, I invite you to think it. If it's too much for you to think it, then ignore it, for God's sakes. It's all accepted here at Unity. So let's breathe in, breathing in. I am of a nature to die. Breathing out. I cannot escape death. Breathing in. I am of the nature to die. I cannot escape death. This is a simple exercise in changing the way we think and relaxing into the truth of what is going to happen for all of us. Death is a reality that we really must confirm. Otherwise, we're going to live in denial and be in this place of irritation or upset. Our defense mechanism wants to push this away. There's a reaction in us not to cope with, not to deal with, not to be with things that we don't like. But if we can accept this truth and be with it and have compassion for ourselves and others, we can be with it in such a way that we can be free of the fear of dying. A good friend of mine who was a Unity student never had any fear of death. And I was with her when she died. And the last thing she said to me was, Rev, I am totally free. And she said, I'm at peace with dying. And I can let go. And it was so beautiful because so many people fight that and resist that. She just was like, this is what it is. And she let go. Confucius says, we all have two lives. The second one starts when you realize you only have one. And that's because when we realize we only have one, we can fully live it. We can be it. It's like, whoa, I am glad to be alive. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to enjoy this day, to breathe, to sing, to do what I get to do this day. And yeah, I'm going to go at some point, but I'm not afraid of that. I'm not going to hold that in my mind and worry about it every moment. Oh my God, I'm going to die. How terrible. It's just going to happen. To be free. Thich Nhat Hanh said, contemplating our mortality helps us focus our energy into the practice of transforming and healing ourselves and the world. Wow. When we can focus our energy into being spiritual people, being alive people, being healthy people, then we can have an effect on our lives and all the people around us and on the world. When we accept that one day we will die, we can be at peace. Be at peace with dying. And we can be at peace when others die as well. The fourth remembrance is, all that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separate from them. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. Don't you hate that part? But it is the truth of who we are. We're going to change. If we don't change, we're dead. Right? This whole philosophy, this whole unity movement, these teachings are all about change. They're all about embracing what is, to be the most powerful beings that we can be right now, here in this moment. And if we're hanging on to the fact that we don't want things to change, have you ever done that? How's that work for you? You know, I want everything to be the way it is right now, forever. How does that work for you? It doesn't work. So let's apply the breath as Thich Nhat Hanh suggests to this. So let's breathe in and think and say, I know that one day I will have to let go of everything and everyone I love. There is no way to bring them along. Breathing out. And I invite you to say it or to think it yourself and to breathe in. And to breathe out. The Five Remembrances help us to accept some of our deepest fears. Old age, sickness, death, change. When we accept these fears, we'll not be blindsided by them and so hurt when they happen. You know, I wish I had known about death when my mom died. My mom died when I was 12 years old. I had never experienced any kind of death before. I was 8 years old. Emily corrects me. She knows my history better than I do. My mom died when I was 8 years old of a stroke. Right? I had never known anyone who experienced death before. I had been sheltered from my grandparents when they died. Didn't know anything about it. We didn't have any animals that died. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I know if we're aware that those things are possible and that they're going to happen, think of how we can deal with them in a much more powerful way rather than being in denial. Saying this is not going to happen. You know, of course, in unity, we know that our spirits go on. But really what we're talking about is this body, this mind. which is finite. Here now, gone tomorrow. I hope not, but it's but it's embracing this truth, knowing that there's another spiritual possibility. If I die tomorrow, I believe my spirit goes on to something else. I believe into the allness. Everything we love today, everything we cherish today, our houses, our bank accounts, our children, our partners, everything we cherish today, at some point is going to be gone. The Buddha said, monastics should have only 3 robes, a baking bowl, a water filter, and a sitting mat. And even these few things, they should also be prepared to release. Could you imagine having those things? Certainly be a lot easier to clean your room, wouldn't it? He said we should even release the chair or the tree that we sit by or that we sleep by. And lo, that too will change, and let go of that. Thich Nhat Hanh said, if we can't let go, we will suffer not only the day when we're finally forced to do so, but right now, today, and every day in between, because fear will constantly be stalking at us. And the last one, those all kind of look back. The last one kind of looks into the future, and it's in the now. And this remembrance says, I inherit the results of my acts of body, speech, and mind. My actions are a continuation. This is a little easier for us Unity people to dissolve or to embrace. I don't want to dissolve it, but to embrace, because we know that our actions, our thoughts, our words, and things that we do and say are sort of our legacy. They are what we leave behind. They're the part of us that remains after we are physically gone from these bodies. So let's say this together, breathing in, or say it to ourselves. Breathing in. I inherit the results of my acts of body, speech, and mind. And exhale. My actions are my continuation. My actions are my continuation. The way that we are in the world is our legacy. It's what we leave after we leave these bodies. And so I think it's so important to just be aware of who we are, how we are in the world. Because certainly we affect ourselves, we affect our family and our friends. And I believe that we have an effect on a larger consciousness as well. Maya Angelou summed it up this way. She said, you are the sum total of everything you've ever seen, heard, eaten, smelled, been told, forgot. It's all there. Everything influences each of us. And because of that, I try to make sure that my experiences are positive. Wow, what a role model for us. You know, the Five Remembrances are similar to a vaccination that cannot forestall the challenges in life, but can significantly reduce their impact. So I invite you to invite your fear into your consciousness and to smile to the fear, to smile at the thought of death, to smile at the thought of getting old, to smile at the idea of getting sick. And just know that as we do that, those fears lose their strength, because we know what we focus on expands for us. So we're, admitting there are some challenges there, and then we're letting them go, knowing that these fearful thoughts don't have to have any power over me, over us. Only by looking deeply into the nature of our fear can we find a way out. The Dalai Lama said, happiness is not something ready-made. It comes from your own actions. The Five Remembrances help us accept some of our deepest fears. Old age, sickness, death. When we accept these fears, we will not be blindsided by them when they happen. And we can live consciously, healthy, compassionate lives, no longer causing suffering to ourselves or to others. With every breath I take, I inhale calmness and exhale fear. Let's say that together. With every breath I take, I inhale calmness and I exhale fear. So let's take a deep breath together, breathing in, breathing out. I invite you to close your eyes. And to notice what's up for you. Maybe something got stirred up in you this morning. I invite you to look at that. Maybe you have some resistance. And just look at that. And breathing in. And I invite you to look at your life. To look at your body. To behold your body with love. And to love every space, every place in your body. Knowing that your body is the temple, a temporary temple, that is holding your mind, holding your life, holding your wisdom, holding all the experiences that you've had, all the love you've shared. And now, as you look inside, observe your spirit. This is the pure essence of God, of truth, the divine mind. It is a part of you that you share with the universe. A part of you that's not limited by the body. The part of you that is expanding. The part of you that touches all life. This is the part of you that is not limited by this experience. The part of you that moves on, even from this place. The part of you that's not limited by thought or deed or word or truth. Fear. This is who you are. And I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back to this moment. To see this moment through the eyes of spirit. Embracing the power of love, of light. And I invite you to open your eyes whenever you're ready. Well, I am grateful for all of you who showed up this morning, and grateful for Unity on Maui, and grateful for all of you watching out there. We're watching you. We can see you. You don't know it, but we can see you. And those are some really cute pajamas that you have on there. I think I'm going to get myself a couch up here, don't you think? Kurt and I used to joke about getting a couch up here so we could be like everybody else in Facebook land, right? We make this the Sunday morning show, right? Well, I invite you to prepare your tithes and your love offerings for Unity on Maui. And if you're watching out in Facebook land, you can go to our website, www.unityonmaui.org, and click on our giving button, donate button there, and give to us in a free way, in a safe way. Or you can send your tithe, your offering to Unity on Maui, 483 South High Street in Wailuku. And so as we give today, let's give in a sense of gratitude, or with a sense of gratitude, to really be happy with who we are in our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, and to give from that place of wholeness, and to give from that place of consciousness, to know that these teachings that we learn and help us to live happier and more productive and more powerful lives, because we bring out the truth of who we are. So as you hold your gift this morning, why don't we pray and affirm our offering blessing, our offering affirmation, and let's say it together. Through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Amen and namaste. All right. Thank you, loving Spirit. I didn't end that so abruptly, but I didn't know how else to do it. So, what are we going to do? Thank you, Kurt. Loving Spirit, we give thanks for these gifts that have come to us in love. We hold them, we bless them, we give thanks for them, and know that they are moving through this ministry out into the world. And we behold a world that's filled with light, with love, and with peace. And so it is. Thank you. Al Cantorna, by the way, is the person who gave us these amazing flowers this morning. And his dedication for these flowers was for world peace. Thank you. And if you'd like to give flowers, there's a sign-up sheet on the back, on the table near the back door. And we'd love to have flowers from you. And you can sign up there and tell me what you'd like to dedicate them to, and I'll put your name. You'll be infamous. We'll put you up here on Sunday morning, and you'll go out to the entire universe about what a generous and giving and thoughtful person you are. But usually I tell the truth when I'm up here. Well, I am telling the truth. So next week my talk is titled Accessing Your Spiritual Power, and this will be fun to see where this goes. I have no idea when I come up with these titles on where I'm going to go, but I know you have access to it, and we'll talk about how you can do that next week. So show up right here at 10 o'clock, just like usual, and we'll have even more fun. Yeah. And if you enjoyed the talk today, there is what I call my walk your talk is on the table where Kailani is there, and it's a summary of everything I talked about today. So you can go home and tell your friends, your neighbors, about what you learned at Unity today. Okay, well, I think that about wraps it up for today. Why don't we all stand up? Thank you again for coming today. Let's take a deep breath, and let's pray and affirm together the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. And so it is. God bless you, friend. Thank you for joining us today. Mahalo and aloha. Where I live, there are
rain.